A generous heart begins with a trusting heart. Hi friends, this is Pastor Pete Seiferth from Northminster Church in Tucson, and I am safely parked, but I am in my car. Each week in these videos, we review what we explored together on Sunday, so that lesson that we explored together can take root more deeply in our everyday walks with Jesus. And so we've been continuing our series seeking to build our lives on the rock, which is the teaching of Jesus as he teaches us in the Sermon on the Mount. Maybe you've been in traffic before and you have certain opinions about how others are driving, and maybe opinions about how you should be driving also in those same conditions. One person's speeding might be another person's just keeping up with the flow of traffic. You know what I mean? Jesus' teaching shows us what a transformed, grace-shaped heart looks like. He calls us to discern without becoming judgmental. He invites us to pray, to ask, seek what God is leading us into without doubting God's goodness. He invites us to treat others as we would like to be treated. And at the very center of this teaching from Jesus is a reminder that our Father in heaven gives good gifts to his children in order to form us into people who reflect his own generosity. The main takeaway I hope that you get from this is that we are called to invest in God's kingdom by trusting in his goodness, by receiving his grace, and then because God is generous to us, we extend that same generous grace to others. The golden rule is an amazing invitation for us to some moral humility. It's not just a moral instruction, but it's really about the heart that is in us being reshaped by the generosity of God. And from that comes fruit, comes a generosity of loving others. One of the most vivid images that Jesus gives us is the sawdust and the plank. I guess there's two kinds of people. There's people who have sawdust in their eyes, and there are other people who have planks, giant boards in their eyes. We imagined being in Joseph's workshop, Jesus' dad, right? And we imagined maybe Joseph brushing a tiny speck out of Jesus' eye and remembering that huge beam that Jesus probably saw, and how that image kind of helped him understand the absurdity of what it means to be judgmental and a hypocrite. We often can't see our own self-righteousness. We find the smallest speck in the flaws of others, but we ignore those heavy beams that we're carrying in our eyes ourselves. But when we experience the generosity of our Father, the God who gives good gifts, our Father who sent his Son, Jesus, into the world for us, then we begin to respond differently. We see people not as problems to fix, but as beloved neighbors to bless. And that shift can only happen when we let God's generosity shape our hearts from the inside out. So to help you live this out this week, I want to encourage you to find that Closer Connections guide on the back of your sermon notes page. You can also find that in the YouVersion app. And there's just basically 3 simple ways to get a closer connection with God. Spend time in Scripture, maybe read over this passage in small bites each day, 15 minutes with God in your favorite chair, a rhythm of reading, reflecting, responding, and resting in his word. And then also seek a closer connection with others. Use the discussion guide, the questions that we provide with family or friends. Use it to journal also about how kingdom generosity can become a part of your everyday life, and how you relate to your church, and how do you relate to your everyday relationships. And also, in reaching your world, we hope that you're continuing to pray for the people on your prayer list, your reach list, looking for opportunities to treat others in the way that you hope to be treated, sharing Christ's love in word and action. Friends, your Father in heaven delights to give good gifts. And as you trust him, may his generosity overflow through you into the world around you, into the congregation that you've been called to be a part of. I pray you have a blessed week, and I hope to see you again Sunday.